Grow CFO is where finance leaders grow together. Join thousands of like-minded professionals using Grow CFO to access the combined knowledge and experience of the finance leader community. You can join us today, growcfo.net.
Hello and welcome to the Grow CFO Show. I'm your host, Kevin Appleby, and today I've got with me James Donovan from 92 Media. Welcome to the Grow CFO Show, James.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I'm looking forward to it.
Now, James, 92 Media. Doesn't sound as though you're one of our regular CFO guests.
No, 92 Media is not, but we do work with fractional CFOs and accounting firms. So despite the name, that's who we work and specialize with.
Yeah. So, James, the thing that I wanted to get into talking to you about today was fractional CFOs. What's the market like out there that you're seeing, and how do you help those folk get in front of their prospective clients? But first, how did you get into working with accounting firms and fractional CFOs?
Well, it wasn't because I thrived in my accounting courses in university. So if someone told me 8 years ago that you'd start a business 6 years ago and then you'd be working directly with accounting firms and fractional CFOs, I would have said you're absolutely nuts. When I first started this company 6 years ago, like many business owners who get started, I was taking on anyone who would pay me for the service I was offering. That was hair salons, massage therapists, really anyone I could knock on their door in Toronto, and I'd bike around to shops and say, hey, do you want help running Facebook ads? Quickly, the pandemic happened. That lasted more than 2 weeks, as everyone knows. My Facebook account was then shut down. I transitioned to running some outbound strategies on LinkedIn for commercial cleaners because that seemed to be the most logical industry to work with during a pandemic. That worked really well for a couple of years. And then someone mentioned to me, hey, have you thought about doing this for accounting firms? And I didn't really give it much thought. So the joke now, as I say, I started at the top of the alphabet and accounting was there. But someone suggested the accounting space. Did that, and then quickly was introduced to a tax credit in the US, ran with that for a couple of years. And then afterwards, I just said to our clients, hey, what else do you offer that's high ticket, that's valuable to your firm, that you need help attracting more clients for? And that's when our clients and prospects and the buzzword of fractional CFO started to come up more and more. And that's really where we've dug our heels into the ground and have been sitting there ever since.
Yeah, so I'm seeing in the UK, a lot of fractional CFOs are working as singletons, a single person, quite often an experienced CFO that's decided to slow down a little bit at the end of a career and take on a number of smaller clients, possibly to work less than 5 days a week. But I'm noticing possibly an opposite trend in the US when I talk to our fractional members there, that I'm seeing quite large firms of fractional CFOs building up. Am I reasonably accurate in that assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of firms, I think, changing their model of what they're offering. So now getting more into the advisory, more of the fractional CFO role. It's obviously a higher ticket, pays more than your typical tax preparation, say monthly bookkeeping. But then on the other hand, you have a lot of firms who describe themselves as fractional CFOs when, and this might be a little controversial, they're really glorified bookkeepers. So you're getting a bit of a mixed bag, but ultimately that's what I'm noticing in the US. I'm in Canada. I don't see it as much, but in the US, I definitely see a lot of individuals or smaller firms or even larger firms. They're going that direction of being the advisor for their clients so they can charge more of a premium.
Yeah, and certainly if I was looking personally to do a fractional CFO role, the last thing that I would want to be doing would be picking up any bookkeeping work. I really would not want that regular transactional work. I'd see that as a major distraction. Do the people that you're working for generally see that they want to really specialize in the fractional work?
A handful of our clients do, yeah. We have clients who are offering strictly advisory, fractional CFO work, and then all the way across the spectrum for the monthly accounting, bookkeeping, tax prep, tax planning, all of the things, right? But yeah, there's a handful of firms where they want to come in to support the existing financial team that a business may have and have that 30,000 foot view overlooking everything, which, at least in my opinion, is the true fractional CFO role, not down in the weeds, like you said, doing the daily transactions of the bookkeeping. You're coming in at a higher level to give support to an existing team that's already there.
Yeah. So you'll clearly try to win business for a fractional CFO. What are the classic things that fractional CFOs are getting wrong when they're trying to sell themselves?
The first one is they're proposing their services as a fractional CFO. Majority of business owners who need a fractional CFO don't know what a fractional CFO is or does. So they need to be approaching it as, what is the problem that business owner has that they can solve? An example of that would be, hey, Kevin, are you opposed to a couple strategies to improve your cash flow within your business? Or, Kevin, do you feel like your business is making a lot of money every month, but you never actually have any money left in the bank? Do you want to look into that? Do you want help looking into that? Do you want some help reducing your expenses so you're actually paying yourself a little bit more every month? If you come at it from what is the problem you're looking to solve, that is going to get more conversations started than, hey, Kevin, do you need a CFO in your business? Because people aren't going to know what a CFO stands for. And nor should they. And I don't really think they care. What's the problem you're going to solve?
So while we're getting more and more fractional CFOs on the ground, there's still, looking at that, a problem with business owners not really realizing that they need a fractional CFO.
Yeah, 100%. No one wakes up to buy accounting or to buy financial help. They're going to invest in the solution to the problem that's keeping them up at night.
Yeah,
they're making a ton of money, but they have nothing left in the bank to show for it. Like, why am I making $1 million a year and I'm behind on payroll every month? That's the problem. If you can solve that, you're now buying the peace of mind for your clients so they can sleep at night.
That is something that's very real. If you're talking cash flow like that, that is the sort of things that keeps business owners awake at night. Where is the cash coming from to meet payroll next week? I don't see it in the bank. If you can come in and solve that problem. And I think the first key role that a fractional CFO can play is helping you with cash forecasting. It's not looking backwards at the transactions that have already happened. That's the bookkeeper job. Mm-hmm. It's looking forward and saying, okay, based on what you're telling me you've sold this week, what you're planning to sell, what the order book looks like, what does cash look like next week and the week after?
Yeah, 100%. It's truly, I mean, you nailed it. It's looking ahead when you have a team who's handling everything that's happened in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to run a business if you're driving in the pitch black with no headlights on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I often think of the accountant as the person that's sitting at the rear of the Titanic, plotting that lovely route that it took all the way from port and never seeing the iceberg up ahead. Whereas the CFO's up there looking forward on the bridge, navigating all the problems coming up in the future and trying to plot that course around them.
100%.
Yeah. So when you're marketing these firms, what's your prime media that you would use to get them in front of prospective clients?
For sure. The two that we use that we've had great results with, LinkedIn can work. It still does work. It can be a little hit or miss at times, full transparency. It's more of a slower, organic, long-term play. So we'll go in, we'll help add new relevant connections to our clients' profiles. So we're growing their audience over time. We're going to reach out and come in with thought-provoking messaging, curiosity-piquing messaging to get that business owner thinking, is that me? I feel like if we're reaching out on your behalf, Kevin, they're thinking, oh, Kevin knows exactly what I'm going through, what's keeping me up at night. I'm going to respond back to him. But then in the meantime, building up your newsletters and articles within LinkedIn so that you're constantly adding value to your newsfeed. Because then over time, people start seeing enough of you and they go, I'm going to have a conversation with Kevin. He seems to be hitting it on the head every time with exactly what I'm struggling with. So LinkedIn works. It's a longer term play. Then the other channel that we use is paid ads on Facebook. Paid ads on Facebook, you can put as much money behind your ads as you want. You can figure out the algorithm a lot quicker. You could test different variations. You can run video ads to educate who you're getting in front of. and you have longer form text in your ad than if you're sending a message to someone on LinkedIn where you want that to be very short and to the point. But those are the two channels we use primarily that we get the best results from.
Facebook and LinkedIn, so very, very much traditional social media. You're not going for the TikToks of this world.
No, it may work. I've never tried TikTok for fractional CFOs, and I could be completely wrong with this statement, but my assumption would be the business owner who's making a couple $1 million a year, who's losing their hair or they're struggling to sleep at night because of their cash flow, they're probably not scrolling through TikTok 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 throughout the day.
And in Grow CFO, we make a very similar assumption that we want to talk to CFOs. They might be fractionals, they might be full-time, they might be in much larger companies. But we know that one of the key challenges a CFO has got is time. They are always very, very busy people.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, we know that email open rates are going to be low. They might browse a little bit on LinkedIn. Great. We'll try and catch them there. But like you're saying, we found LinkedIn harder and harder.
Yeah, it's changed a lot, even just in the last couple of months, but it's changed a lot even over the last 2 years. There's more and more people on it. There's a lot more noise that you're trying to cut through, which can be a good thing. It tells us people are still there. Now, just how do you get creative how do you break through the noise? So I don't like to think of a busy platform as a reason to shy away, but you look at it as, all right, there's people here. How do we get their attention over the other person?
Yeah. But if you're specializing, James, in dealing with fractional CFOs and accounting bookkeeping firms, and you're putting a lot of stuff out onto those platforms, aren't you therefore putting your own clients out there to compete head to head with each other?
You could look at it that way, but when we're running nationwide campaigns for our fractional CFO clients, there's more than enough businesses in the US to go around for them to work with. Even if 2 or 3 of our clients are in the construction space, there's more than enough construction firms in the US that say those potential 3 clients could ever dream to handle. So if you have nationwide and you're industry agnostic, you're not really competing against each other because there's too many businesses to even take on.
So there's the awareness thing on LinkedIn, the longer game. There's the Facebook ad. What generally then ends up being your call to action to actually generate a conversation for these folk?
Depending on the platform, is generally just seeing if someone would be open to that conversation or exploring essentially what an internal audit of their, say, existing cash flow system would look like. Again, depending on what we're pushing, if it's expense reduction, if it's cash flow optimization, just leading with, if it's on Facebook, maybe schedule a time for a cash flow analysis. Get a health check on your business's cash flow. If it's on LinkedIn, it's an outreach. I always like to lead with the negative response. Hey, Kevin, would you be opposed to reviewing your firm's cash flow to see if there's any optimizations we can make? You're probably not going to be opposed. Okay, cool. Well, are you free tomorrow at 10:30?
I like that approach. Yeah, I can understand how that works. So, traditional place that you find accounting firms and bookkeepers, they'd have their own websites advertising their wares. Do you operate in that space at all with your clients?
We have built a few websites for our clients, but ultimately, people are going to be looking on Google first, or if they're scrolling through social media. I find websites are a great secondary piece to what you have online. No one's just going to know to randomly type in, say, www.growcfo.com. It would be amazing if people did that, but they would probably come across your content on LinkedIn first as Kevin, and then go to your site as a ripple effect. Just like with our bookkeeping and accounting firm clients, we use a lot of local service ads for them on Google. Doesn't work as well for fractional CFO. You can certainly ask the right questions, the leads that come in, and build them into an advisory client. But everyone is going to Google first, or they're going to social media first, and then they'll find you they'll get to your website as a ripple effect. So just having your presence online first, where people are initially looking, making sure you're visible over your competitors, And then, yeah, you can funnel them into your site.
Brilliant. Yeah. So I must admit, one of the classic things that I don't like when I'm looking at accounting firms' websites is they tend to go along the lines of, oh, we're this, we're that, we're trustworthy, we're professional, we've got ethics, and all of those kind of things. But I think that's just a tick in the box for everybody. They never actually talk about problems. So I presume when you're putting a website together for a client, you're still homing in on those problems that the business owner would suffer.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, nobody cares about how trustworthy or professional or family owned and or whatever it is. That's all about you. And you need to make it about your prospect. So what does your prospect care about? All the problems you're going to solve for them. So you need to speak directly to that person. Again, I'll keep going back to it, but do you struggle to sleep at night because payroll is due next week and you have no money in the bank? Do you feel like you're running a successful business and you never have money to reinvest? That will tell other people that you're trustworthy professional because you actually know what the pains are of your potential client.
Yeah. And it's always going to be that cash thing.
Yeah.
That cash thing is going to get more business owners than anything else. Yeah. Another classic that we're often talking to CFOs of slightly bigger companies about. They started getting a hold of a fractional CFO because they were going through a fundraising process. Suddenly new money coming into the business. But then chances are when the new money comes in, they haven't built the sales part. So they've got to manage that runway. Again, the worry is, great, we've got all this cash now, but how long is it going to last us? How quickly have we got to develop? Have we got a problem 6 months down the line? And that forecasting piece is the classic, the thing that I think every CFO's got to be absolutely on top of.
Yeah. And the thing I'll add in, just because it's pretty on par with what we're talking about right now, that so many firms, I think, miss, or they're stuck in this mindset of, well, no, I'm building a new website, so business will just come. Okay, who's going to know your website exists? Are you reaching out to people on LinkedIn? Are you running ads? Are you visible on Google so when people search for the services you offer? But a lot of business owners, they think, well, I got a new website, so it's going to pour in. That's the magic wand. No, you need a site, and then you have to get people to go to your site. So if you build a new site and it's amazing, that's awesome. But it doesn't matter how amazing it is or how great the content is if it's never falling in front of the right eyeballs.
Yeah. Like, you've dealt with a number of business sectors since you started up and eventually just stumbled on accountants and fractional CFOs. Would you say they would, logically to me, they'd be a reasonably commercially minded bunch of folk because they're dealing with money all the time? But when it comes to sales and marketing, do those folks generally get it? Or do you have to go through a big education process with them?
I'd say for the most part, there's a bit of education to it. A lot of accounting firms have had the luxury of relying on referrals for so long. They handle someone's tax prep, that person sticks with them for years, and then over time, that person tells their friend, their business owner, etc., and they don't have to market a ton. They're content relying on referrals. I think naturally the industry as a whole is just like, you get a couple of clients and referrals will take care of your business. Referrals are the best complement to your business, but you have zero control over what happens. A referral is a hope and a prayer that someone else will speak about your business and encourage someone to come back and work with you, versus you taking control and being in the driver's seat and putting yourself out there to attract the exact type of person you want. You could have the best client in the world who sends you a referral. Doesn't mean that referral is going to have the same size business, be in the same mindset, maybe even in the niche you want to work in. You have zero control. But a lot of firms, their marketing strategy, which again, controversial, it's not a marketing strategy relying on referrals. It's a hope and a prayer that someone else will grow your business for you.
Yeah. So you've got to be positive. You've got to be on the front foot. And that's something that probably doesn't come naturally, therefore, to a whole number of your clients. Got it. But James, as well as LinkedIn and Facebook, one thing that you do that really attracted me to having a conversation with you is you're a fellow podcast.
Yeah.
Tell me about your podcast.
So the CFO Chronicles, we started it just over a year ago. I believe you may have been our 54th or 55th episode, which was really cool. I'm excited for that to come out in a couple of weeks. I don't know when this one will be released, but I imagine your episode
Around about the
with
same
us
time.
will probably be out around the same time. It's been a lot of fun. One, we bring on a lot of fractional CFOs, I guess influencers in the space, people who are running really successful firms. Maybe it's people who sometimes will bring on someone, say, in AI or other marketing channels where I know our audience could benefit from. So it's really cool to get different takes from other business owners, other founders, presidents, different roles in the industry, and how everyone can learn a little bit more. And at the end of the day, either better their business or better themselves in their position. So I like it. It's a lot of fun. We've met a lot of cool people and we get to have amazing conversations and then get rewarded to come on a show like yours.
Yeah, that's the bit that I really like about podcasting. It's the people that you meet, the relationships you build as a result of doing it. And I really would say to anybody listening to this and thinking, oh, should I come along and be a guest on a podcast? Well, actually, it's a very worthwhile thing. I think if you're looking to put yourself out there as an expert in your field, a lot of people tell you, go write a book. These days, it's probably go write 2 or 3 books because there are so many people now writing books. There's a lot of effort goes into that. No, there's nowhere near as much effort goes into trying to be a guest on half a dozen podcasts.
Yeah. And from a marketing standpoint, it's an amazing way to tap into everyone else's audience.
Yeah.
And you can be selective of which podcast you want to go on based on the audience. You get your message across. You get to be shared by that individual's audience size. And then you can also request the footage and use that again to further your own marketing efforts. Chop up your expert insights or hot takes into reels, repost that, write articles based on the transcript of that video, make it SEO optimized. Like there's just so much you could do from going on one podcast and how much, not to sound like an influencer, but how much content you could create from that will drive your business forward because you have all the keywords and you're educating your potential audience.
Absolutely. And I do another podcast besides this one with a marketing friend. We call it the Next 100 Days podcast. And we've been going for quite a long time now. A few years ago, Graham and I, my co-host, we said, well, actually, what are we doing for our guests marketing-wise? So we got Graham's PA to go and do a Google search on, I think, the past 20 or 30 guests that we'd had on that podcast and say, where does our podcast rank on Google for those people? And the interesting thing was for most of them, our podcast was ranking higher than their own website.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
So it is a really, really effective way to get noticed, to actually show up on a Google search is podcast.
100%. You start getting on a handful of other people's podcasts as well. Now your name is showing, someone types in your name or your business name. That's generally in the title of someone else's podcast. And now you just have a ton of articles, ton of links with your name attached to it. Talk about credibility and authority. When a potential client now jumps online, they type in your name or your company name and a handful of articles are showing up and you're just being featured and interviewed everywhere. It's hard to argue that you're not an authority in your space.
Exactly. That's really one of the most powerful things you can be when selling a service. Show up as an authority. Show up that you know your stuff. And not every fractional CFO is guesting on a podcast. We've had a few on the Grow CFO show. You've probably had a lot more than us on your podcast because that's your key area. But the folk that come on will show up.
100%. A mentor of mine mentioned this quote one time and it really stuck with me. So many business owners are amazing at what they do. So many people don't know that person exists. Better known beats best.
Absolutely.
You just need to be and you can be both. You can be the best known person and the best at what you do. But if you're the best at what you do and someone else is the figurehead of your space, they are winning majority of the business every day of the week.
Yeah. And flip of that, I've thought a number of times when I've been about to record something with my buddy Graham, that I've got the guest's name in the diary. It might be somebody that's been given to us by a podcast agency or just happened to drop us an email to say, can I be a guest? I've looked around and this looks pretty boring. I can't say anything very exciting. And you get that person on the podcast. You start talking and that expertise nearly always comes to light. And if you're a good podcast host, you can delve deep into what that person does and you can really get some golden nuggets out of the interview. I think it's a really, really valuable way of getting what you do showcased in a special way.
100%. But again, you're taking a chance, or for lack of better words, a gamble on someone who doesn't have much of a social presence, hoping they'll be great. And I'm sure you've had a few people that maybe didn't turn out to be that awesome and more of a challenging conversation, but some people were amazing. Imagine if they just had more of that online for other people to see how much more successful their business would be. But they're like hiding their talents. They're not letting the world know how great they are.
That to me is the biggest single issue when you're marketing a fractional firm, that you're hiding your talents.
Yeah.
The world doesn't know automatically about all these problems that you've solved for your clients, doesn't know about that great deal that you pulled off, that great fundraise you're involved in. But you get out there and talk about some of those things. Okay, I know that as finance folk, we're bound by certain confidentiality rules, but you can still talk about stuff.
Yeah. Now, I know it's massive in the marketing space. Majority of marketing companies, they have social proof on their page because everyone wants to know, have you done this for someone else? What are your results? What could I expect? Well, that's super vague to a certain degree. I mean, we go as far as closing deals for our clients. Not a lot of firms do that. So if someone guarantees you close deals, but they're not actually selling for you, major red flag. But I rarely see in the accounting space, and you spoke about like a confidentiality, but if you have clients who are open to it, have those case studies, have your clients, if you have your own podcast, come on your podcast and talk about their success they've had with you. Blur out maybe the end user's name or how much money was saved if they want to keep that stuff discretionary. But I just know from the marketing world, all the time we're putting up testimonials to show people this is what we've done. I never see that with fractional CFOs or really a lot of other businesses where what would it be like to work with ABC Advisory? They'll see a video of their most recent client, a big success story. That to me will sell the service more than hopping on the call with the fractional CFO who can tell me all of the things and all the buzzwords. I want to see from someone else's experience what that would be like.
Yeah. I've got into a couple of conversations lately about AI optimization on websites and so on, rather than good old SEO. And those folk are telling me that what you've got to be looking for in an AI world is loads and loads of those case studies, those authority pieces. It's the only way you're going to get noticed by the AI engine. Is that something that you're seeing coming through?
I haven't heard that myself. Doesn't mean it's not correct. It makes sense that I'd be picking it up. AI is it's improving every day. So in theory, it would make sense to me that, yeah, the more videos and authoritative pieces or audio clips that you have, AI is able to pick up those transcripts and use that for it's for your SEO to be found in the rankings though. So yeah, the more content you have on your page, that's different medium. So you have your text, you have video, you have audio. There's just more opportunity for that to get pulled in. If your videos are linked back to YouTube, wherever they're publicized online, you're giving the internet more links and the AI models to pull in those links so you show up in the rankings.
So, James, we've heard a lot about the sorts of things you do for clients. Now, you're talking to a new audience today. On this podcast, there'll be a number of fractional CFOs listening and their ears might have pricked up at some of the things you've been saying. So what are you looking for in terms of new clients in your own firm?
We're looking for generally firms in the US. We haven't branched overseas. All the strategies we've spoken about and that we have on LinkedIn and that's in my book, they're all applicable. It's the same principles that apply, but we're looking for firms in the US who have a proven track record of servicing clients who are looking to get to that next level and know that investing in their firm, they understand that's the right move to get ahead. So what we're really excited about is that over the last 6-7 months, we're always generating leads. We're always booking appointments, and we're always falling flat because a lot of firms would say, well, the leads aren't good. This person didn't sign up. Okay, well, that's debatable, especially when we see someone message back on LinkedIn and say, hey, I need a CFO. I just fired our last one and we're making $4 million a year and we don't know where our money's going. And then you don't close them. Well, they're not a good lead. Sure. So we actually just started learning more about the sales process for CFOs. And now we're doing everything from click to close. So we bring on clients, we'll get them the lead, we'll qualify the book the appointment, we'll build out the sales offer for them. Then we'll go and actually sell the deal, use their Stripe link so they get paid first. And then we're just getting paid the commission on the back end. They just have to fulfill the client, which is the part that they love the most.
Yeah. So if people want to find out more, how do they contact you?
Best way would be on LinkedIn, James Donovan, profiles based out of Toronto, or they can get in touch with us on our website, 92media.com. It's NINETWO media.com.
And we'll have links to those in the show notes, as well as a link to your podcast, because I'm sure a few fractional CFOs have heard about that today and will be interested in tuning in. But James, you mentioned one thing in there that I wasn't aware of up to now, your book. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so book's solid. I got a copy of it right here. Published it back in May. Super excited about it. It's digital marketing strategies that actually work for accounting firms. So we go really in depth with being an authority on Google Business Profile. You can use local service ads. You can do organic or paid. We have a bunch of different strategies in there for outreach on LinkedIn, and then different strategies for running ads on Facebook for your accounting firm or fractional CFO firm. We're really just trying to open up the cover and show everything that we've run for our clients who pay us thousands of dollars a month. We've dropped all those strategies in the book so someone could take it, use a QR code, swipe and deploy, and just run the strategy by themselves. Or if they want us to do it for them, they can certainly just get in touch and we could chat about what that would look like.
Yeah. And knowing most accountants, they'll say, oh, dealing with you directly is going to cost me money. I'm going to do this myself because I'm a bit of a Scrooge. But do you really want to do the sales and marketing stuff yourself? It's not what you passed your exams to do, is it?
No, it just like I don't have any interest in handling all of my bookkeeping and accounting. It's not my zone of genius. It's costing me more money by trying to handle that than paying an expert to do it. And I can go and focus on the areas of the business that I know will drive more revenue. But it's a lot easier said than done. But still, a lot of business owners, a lot of accounting firms think, well, I can learn all this. Absolutely, you can. We're not revolutionizing the world, but I'm sure your business would appreciate your time in other areas that will drive more revenue than you trying to figure out how to be the go-to marketing expert for your accounting firm.
And I think where it fails in the DIY space is that what worked yesterday ain't going to work tomorrow. And you're in a position because you're dealing with many clients all the time and you're in the space, you're seeing the changes that go on firsthand. The DIY folk pick them up when it's too late.
It's just like fractional CFOs will see a lot more about the industry because they have so many clients they're working with than if they were doing it just for like it's volume. You just get so much more data with volume than if you're doing it one-to-one. So you're behind the ball.
James, it has been super chatting to you about all of this. Best of luck with the book. Hope you pick up some extra podcast listeners as a result of us talking together. I'm hoping that I pick up some extra podcast listeners from your audience because I appeared on your show. So we're doing the practical side of getting out there and getting into the media, which we're encouraging other folk to be doing as well. So James, thank you for being this week's guest on the Grow CFO Show.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for people to check your episode out as well.